Welcome to Learn and Love Music. I'm Duane Hulbert. Today we're going to look at some wonderful music by American composer Florence Price. She wrote a fabulous sonata in E minor, and I love the second movement, so we're going to feature that in this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We want to see you back again, so let's dig into some music by Florence Price. Number 1. Florence Price used a modal style of writing. This is a style that uses scales. So in this case, A minor natural minor is considered one of the modes. If we move up the keyboard of the piano, there's a mode in B, all white keys, or C major, which is quite common. There's also a mode in D minor. They're not quite the same as scales, but they do create sort of a really exotic mood to them. So looking back at this piece, what Florence Price does is she starts out with a key that has kind of a mix of major and minor in it. Here's the beginning. A minor, and now E minor. The reason she chose this key is because you can play that entire opening on the white keys. So she's sort of exploring lots of different modal sounds as a result of just using the white keys. Interestingly enough, even though it's in A minor, she also kind of goes over into C major as well. But those two keys are actually intertwined in this work, which is pretty common when composers go from major to minor. But the beautiful part about it is that it was based on a lot of the formation of African American spirituals at the time. Number 2, once we hear the theme in more of a modal style, then we hear it the second time through with a more complex harmony. It's really a fabulous kind of sound. She uses lots of chromatics in here, much different than the first line. So listen to this second line. It's the same theme. I almost heard a little bit of a barbershop quartet kind of sound in there with all the chromatic steps. It's typical of the late Romantic period of classical music. Lots of half steps, lots of different harmonies. When you hear all of these, even crosses over a little bit into jazz, actually. Point number 3. In the second page, which is marked più mosso, suddenly we hear an increase in tempo, an increase in tension, and also harmonic tension as well. This is really how the piece sort of evolves with a little bit more anger to it. Here's what it sounds like, più mosso section. And also left-hand rhythm, offbeat rhythm with it. Here's what it sounds like. I love the way it ends with all that angular, almost frustration there. It all kind of blends into a beautiful cadence at the end of that section. Number 4, we have a brief recapitulation. In sonata form, most classical composers would write a recapitulation is a reiteration of the opening theme. And we hear it almost exactly as it was written in the beginning. But coming off of the middle section, you'll hear this. So it's like G major, transition, and then and the opening theme, almost like recapitulation. And number 5, we now look at the development section. Here, a composer usually takes a lot of the themes used earlier in the piece in the exposition and reworks them, and a lot of times it's the most dramatic part of the piece. You'll note in this section here, we have some of the same themes, but it's in the key of E minor, the way we started, but suddenly there's a lot of energy and inside accompaniment going on in triplets. So here's what it sounds like. Left hand. Now a big surprise in D major. We return to E minor. But what a trip we went on through all of those different keys. This is really typical of a composer in the development section. And now we move forward to the recapitulation. And finally, number 6, the recapitulation, and also the coda. Coda is the end section of the piece. There's a lot of drama here at the end, but many of the familiar themes we heard earlier. But there's much more of a beauty to this end here, a grandeur actually. Let's listen to this end section. Like the opening, the simplicity of the end of the coda. One of the interesting points of that piece is that Florence Price had the modern piano, which is the piano we know of today, and she used every single key practically in this piece. You'll notice that at the climax, she uses the lowest note on the piano. There's a big C major chord, this here, and then an A. It's really, she knew a lot about the romantic style and how beautiful this music needs to be, but also it needs to be played on a very large, powerful instrument like the modern grand piano. I really enjoyed learning this piece. It's a fabulous piece of music and kind of unknown with a lot of classical musicians. But make sure that you listen to the entire piece on the companion video. You can hear it, how it all comes together. Thanks for watching Learn and Love Music, and we'll see you next time. I'm Duane Hulbert.